Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Multithreading in Customer Success for Expansion, brought to you by Technology and Services Industry Association. My name is Emilia Osborne, and I will be your moderator for today. I'd now like to introduce our presenters for today, Marc, Director of Customer Success Research, and Emilia, Founder and Managing Partner, Growth Molecules. As with all of our TSIA webinars, we have a lot of exciting content to cover in the next 45 minutes. So let's jump right in and get started. Marc, the floor is yours.
This is sort of audience participation time outside of the webinar, but each of these polls should take less than 90 seconds. They're very short, 5 or 6 question polls, and we would love to get your feedback on 3 different topics. The first is on time sampling. This is really critical when it comes to multi-threading because understanding what your CSMs are doing today is essential in order to build the right behavior as you design your multi-threading program. So that's it's really insightful sort of when you learn exactly what your CSMs are doing as compared to what you think they're doing. So we'd love to have you participate in that one. The second one is around building a CS alliance with sales. For example, that's a big critical part of multi-threading as well, which we'll talk about a lot as we get into the session here today. So we have a poll out there about how CS engages with sales in your organization. And then finally, a third one around CS engagement strategies. This is really for companies who, or this is around companies looking at, we're looking at companies that have multiple products and how their CSMs sort of are spread across multiple different products and services that are offered and how you engage with your customers. So all 3 of these are topics we're going to get into in much more detail here as we move forward, but we'd love for you to participate and take about 5 minutes to complete those 3 polls. Okay, so with that, let's move on. Speaking of polls, we have another one for you. We're going to talk now about, why multi-threading is so important for customer success organizations. So our second poll here is asking, what's the biggest challenge that you see in terms of implementing a multi-threading approach in your organization? Is it related to making sure you have budget or losing budget, losing a champion, lack of strong relationship with the client? What is it that's sort of your biggest barrier to getting strong engagement? And what do you see out there, Emilia? Aside from these challenges, there are customer success managers day to day. It feels like sometimes you're just banging your head against the wall, right? So what are you seeing out there when you talk to companies around these things?
Yes, so I am actually tomorrow going to speak at a portfolio event in Orange County, and the main challenge that the attendees shared with the organizers and that I'll be speaking on is we can't even start to think about expansion. We are so focused right now on renewals and protecting current customer budget. And then for the companies that are not public yet, how do we get to break even? Forget expansion. I think that's slightly wrong because I think expansion should be part of that. How do you get to break even? But those are the main things. Like, I need to get my renewals number in, and then I can focus on expansion. And I believe that there's a way to do both. But that's what we're seeing right now across our clients.
That's great. Okay, so we have about nearly half of folks have answered. So let's take a look at the results here. And it's a pretty interesting spread between budget and then having that lack of relationship, right? What would you say when you're out there talking to your customers? Is there one that you see that's more predominant than the others?
The number one, when we are working with clients on their expansion strategy, is how do we build a strong relationship with a client? How does a CSM do that with their book of business? And so I'm not surprised that's number 2. I would have guessed that was number 1. But budget in 2023, I think that's really relevant given everything that's going on with the economy.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That, especially, there's this sort of question around having the trusted advisor role, and then can you continue to have that relationship so that you can help expand and grow together, right? It's not about selling more, it's about growing together as a partner. And if you don't have that relationship, it's very, very difficult to get there. That totally makes sense.
All right, so let's talk about what is multi-threading when you apply it to customer success. I'm going to nerd out for a little bit and just explain to you where did multi-threading come from? And it's really a computer architecture term, and it's the ability in a central processing unit to provide multiple threads of execution concurrently. And that's really where it comes from. Obviously, the computer world, now it's being applied to software as a service for relationship building. And the concept of multi-threading is really becoming increasingly important in customer success because companies are realizing if you have multiple touch points across a company, not only can you expand, but also you can have relationships when someone is on vacation, for example, something might be going wrong. Someone leaves. We're seeing a lot of changes in the workforce. That's incredibly important. The second is the skill set around fighting churn and working with clients across their portfolio can be heavily influenced if you have a strong relationship with more than one person and you have a new leader coming in.